quality handmade soaps, where handmade is the best made. Proudly making soap for over 5 years, Quality Handmade Soap sets the standard in both quality and safe ingredients. Perfect for the holiday season. I'm telling you right now, you see that Black Rose soap, I got that in my shower, and man, let me tell you what, your husband or wife will love it. Use promo code VHHN2022 to get 15% off your first purchase. Link is in the description box. Let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. I'm your brother, Old Guy from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What's good, y'all? It's your man, Sam Ant, CEO of Viral Hip Hop News, and we got a special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. We got a special guest in the building. We got the OG in the building. Bruce is on the podcast. How you doing today, brother?
Man, what's cracking? What's going on, fellas?
Excited to have you on. Excited to be here this beautiful afternoon, man. Definitely appreciate you coming on. OG in the game and watching you since we was young boys, man. But let's start off. How you feeling, man? You see you busy. You on the road. You doing your tour. I think right now you're in Indianapolis, or you're soon to be in Indianapolis, man.
Yeah, I will be there this weekend, man. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, brothers, man. I stay busy, man. I got to stay busy. Only time I take off work is when I take off work, and but long as the weekends are open, I am working, player.
Word. Absolutely.
Powerful, man. So, you know, very, very humble beginnings. You know, I think is the neighborhood you grew up in, or the area called the Bluffs, or something like that in Georgia.
Oh yeah, man, the Bluff, man. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You remember that little movie dude did called Snow in the Bluff?
Yeah, we supposed to have him on.
I'm from that area.
Okay.
I'm from that exact in the middle. It was rough, but you know, back in the day, the older people really took care of the neighborhood and made us take care of the neighborhood. And then, you know, young cats start coming in, tearing it up. But now they had regentrification. In other words, they say.
Yeah.
So they done, you know, all the good Caucasian people have took over and making it so nice that you can't even afford to live over there. You know what I'm saying? So it's not too far from Georgia Tech, and it's not far from downtown Atlanta, not too far from the Georgia Dome. So, I mean, it's really convenient, and it was rough back in the day, but I enjoyed it. If I had to do it again, I will not do it again.
We were supposed to have on Curtis Snow from Snow on the Bluff. He was actually supposed to come on, and some issues came up, and we wouldn't have him on. But that documentary or that movie he did was absolutely crazy. How authentic was that? Because it was so popular, but how authentic being from the Bluff was his story.
Hey, man, it was real. Everything he did was real, man. I mean, it was everything over there. I mean, drugs, everything you needed, anything you wanted, drugs. You know, I seen a brother walking down. You know, I do a lot of jokes. I seen a brother walking down the street with. He told me he had a TV with a typewriter, and asked me that I want to buy it. And I said, "Well, let's see what you got, brother. You know, because you always want to see." This brother got a HP computer. He talking about a TV with a typewriter.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how the crack was over there. Like one time. We was shooting a little video, just playing around with a little video camera. You know, you have a little camcorder, and little crackhead said, "Man, I got one of those, but it's bigger. It's got a 2 on it." I'm like, a 2? I said, "Go get it." And he done stole the Channel 2 News camera, and I see the camera guy run around in a panic. Man, somebody done stole my camera off my truck. I said, "You can get it back." I said, "I know exactly what it is." I said, "You're gonna need about $50, but you can get it back." He said, "I'll pay $100. I said, "Well, you're gonna get it back." And, you know, the crackheads will get you, boy. You know, they walk out the bushes on you, brother.
Right.
Yeah, they walk out the bushes. Hey, man, what y'all doing? You're like, "Where did you come from?" Bushes. I was standing in the bushes.
Plot.
Now, how did growing up in that environment mold you into who you are today?
Hey, man, let me tell you something, man. When I grew up there, you know, I knew all the drug dealers. I knew all the gangsters. I knew all the players. I knew all the pimps. But my parents say, "Look, if you do that, we're going to kill you." So they didn't never have to worry about me doing nothing like that, even though I was right in the middle of it. But I had a lot of home training and a whole lot of people looking after me. So they didn't play that mess, man. And today, it's even worse. These young kids now, they got more nerve than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it seems like definitely even from when we grew up in the early 80s and 90s.
Oh, y'all grew up in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, I was born in 83 and 85.
Oh, y'all young fellas. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, You are our parents' age. So that's why we grew up. We was our OG watching you on Comic View and Def Jam.
Yeah. I grew up in the 60s and the 80s. I mean, 60s and the 70s, man. And it was, 70s was the thing. Fight the power, fists up in the air. You know what I'm saying? Showing love. You see a brother with a dashiki on. You know what a dashiki is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure y'all knew what I was talking about. Didn't want y'all to think I was talking about a new Taco Bell burrito, but a dashiki. You have on a dashiki, man. Back in the day, you had a spoon or fork or knife bracelet. Do y'all remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you take that and you be down, you come across the street, brother do you like that? You throw the fist back up. What's up, brother? Because that's when we had unity. You know what I'm saying? And it meant something. And we looked out for each other, And back in the day, man, everybody was just cool. Wasn't nobody trying to kill nobody. The only people was killing was the gangsters,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, now it seems like it's popular to kill each other. You hear it in rap music. You see it in the culture. Yeah. Talk about the shift and the change. We talk about growing up in the 80s, and you talk about the difference in the 60s and the 70s, but now it's completely different.
It is, man. I mean, the rap music got them going crazy. When they say I killed everybody in the house, they meant that. Like back in the day, we listened to love music, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Confunction, Enchantments, Lakeside, Brick, Barcades, Cameos. See, y'all don't know nothing about them old groups, you understand? Like, I'm a James Brown fan, so I was James Brown, but then I was a weird kid. I used to listen to soft rock. Everybody thought I was crazy, but soft rock made sense to me, man. It was smooth, it was cool, and it was something you could just mellow to, you know what I'm saying? But now, I went into heavy metal. I went into that, but soft rock, I just love soft rock.
Right. Now I heard you telling the story about, you was always funny throughout your life. But the first time you took the stage, you said like this was like you knew this was something you was going to be able to master.
When I first hit the stage, man, I knew that's where I should have been my whole entire life. Now, I grew up neighborhood clown, church clown, school clown. I mess with everybody in school. They see me coming, they know I'm gonna do something funny. I'm gonna say something funny. I had girls beat me. I got beat up all the time by girls. Man. I had a girl, man, had a ponytail about that long. I mean, it was about that long, man, with a rubber band around it, right? So I walked behind. I said, "Girl, how did they do that?" And she said, "Do what?" I said, "Make that little oxtail right there." But man, that girl beat me to death, man. Look, and then the principal came, break it up. I said, "Man, what took you so long, man? That girl been beating me about 3 minutes, man." Then she told me after she beat me up,
"What?
You gonna be my boyfriend?"
Dang.
So I had to be her boyfriend with the short hair. You know what I'm saying? Man, her hair was so short she could stand on her head. Her hair still wouldn't touch the floor. Did you hear what I said, please? That's some short hair. You hear me? Then she grew up to be absolutely gorgeous, man.
That's how it end up. That's how it usually always is. The one
she's absolutely gorgeous, brother.
Now, what you said when you first hit the stage, you realized that's what you wanted to do. Now, the first time I remember you was on Comic View, Don D. Perry and Lavelle Crawford and all the OGs. But when was your first start, like on the main stage? Because you also did Def Jam, and obviously you probably did some circuits prior to that. So when did you realize, or when was your first real big break in the comic game?
Well, you know what, man? People always say you have 15 minutes of fame. You ever heard that saying?
Yes, sir.
And you know what, man? I don't even think I started on my 15 minutes yet because I still have so much fun doing comedy. But when I first went on stage, to answer your question, man, I never forget the first joke I did. And I walked up, because I'm a big dude, and a little dude in the front, man, about 5'4", looked like Bushwick Bill, and he said, "Look at this fat Joe. Everybody always call you fat." And he had on a silk shirt. I said, "Brother, is that shirt silk or you ironed it too much?" You know what I'm saying? And the club went crazy. And because they had never heard nobody snap on nobody like that. He said, "Oh, you got me. And then when I walked off stage, something just hit me like a ton of bricks. This is where you're supposed to be. I was working for Frito-Lay potato chip, man. I used to sell a bag and eat 3 bags. You know what I'm saying? And I was coming up short every month. I said, I believe somebody is stealing from me, player. You know what I'm saying? And I found out that I was stealing from myself. You know what I mean?
Dang.
So, it's funny, man, but it's real. And man, I wouldn't take it back for the life, man. It was the best thing happened to me, man. I was driving my Frito-Lay truck down to the comedy club because I didn't have a car. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a car, so I had to drive the truck because we kept our trucks at home. And most comedians come outside and say, we don't know who's driving that potato chip truck out there. They're going to fire you if you don't take that truck back to the job. But they didn't realize I was the one driving the truck back.
Now, you told a story and confirm this if it's true or not. Did you get booed off the Showtime Apollo stage 4 different times?
Oh, man, 3-4 times, man. You know, I went out there, man, and you know, New York, that crowd is hard, man, you know, and it's even harder when you're from the South. So when they say, you know, all the way from Atlanta, first thing the New York do, oh, this country joker here, you know what I'm saying? And all of us are not country because I'm going to be honest with you, brothers. I've seen more country people in New York than I have in the South. And they're from New York. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard on us. If I was from Jersey or Connecticut or Philly, they'd been screaming. But as soon as they said Atlanta, Georgia, this country, so I had to prove myself. But the last time I did it, brother, let me tell you something. I ripped it up. It was great. I didn't give him a chance to breathe. I just went at him like a freight train.
It's funny you say that because even in hip hop, the South didn't receive the same warmth right now. And now Atlanta is the mecca of hip hop, of acting, of everything. Talk about that shift and when you begin to see that change, not only in hip hop and culture in general, but also in comedy.
Yeah, man. Because, you know, everybody in New York, you know, and I love New York. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to think that I hate New York. No, I love New York. But, you know, the rappers in New York, you know, it was all about New York. And then the rappers in the South, when they came out, they was like, oh, yeah, until Outkast hit the scene. When Outkast came, Goody Mob, T.I., you know what I'm saying? Ludacris. It was some respect coming. Then you got the boys out of Texas, you know, Pimp C, Bum B, you know what I'm saying? Then you got Slim Thug, all them boys. When they started coming out and they got rhymes, hey, man, they was doing their thing, brother. You know, so they had to respect the South. And then you remember Lil Jon come out. Yeah. And I think they was in Florida somewhere. They was doing the A-Town stomp. You remember that? They was in Florida. And boy, they almost tore the stage down because all of them stomping. You know, Bone Crusher. You know, everybody my size up there stomping. You got guys up there stomping the stage. Something's gonna get in, brother. You know
Right. Now talk about, you know, being featured on the Yin Yang Twins song, you know, when that song came out.
Oh, yeah, man, because you know, Lil Jon, which let me clear this up. All the rappers in Atlanta, I know all of them. Outkast, I'm like their big brother. I've been knowing them when they started.
Got Bruce on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We're getting right back in just one moment here.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Yes, sir. We can hear you well. You know, my fault. We lost you. We cannot hear you.
You cannot hear?
Check. Can you hear us?
If you can hear us, drop out and come back in. I should fix the problem. If you can hear us, we got Bruce here on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. If you're listening, man, leave a comment. I haven't been leaving a lot of comments on the podcast. I checked the other day, but can you hear us, Bruce?
I can hear you, brother.
All right, you can continue on.
All right, let's go. So you know, Outkast, I'm like their big brother. You understand what I'm saying? And Goody Mob, I know everybody. So the Yin Yang Twins, when Too Short made that song called "Shake That Monkey," and he had a verse in it that said, "All the skinny girls let Bruce hit it." You remember that?
Yeah.
And then the Yin Yang came back with Lil Jon, said, "Get crunk with it, get loose with it." Like Short said, let Bruce hit it. So Lil Jon used to do volunteer radio here before he got started in the music. He was always making beats. He was the man that made the beats in the South. And he came out with the East Side Boys, and they came out with Who You With. And so they just, it's like love. It's always love in the South. So one hand pulls the other. So when Too Short did it, then Lil Jon came over the Yin Yangs. And I mean, they just put me on the map, man, because I'm like their big brother, man. And that was real love.
What were some of some of your comic or comedian cohorts that you really feel and bonded with as you went along in your journey?
Well, you know, back in the day, man, you know, Rodney Winfield, was one of the dudes that took me up on his wing. John Witherspoon, who played Pops on the Wayans. Ronaldo Ray, who's my co-host on BET Comic View. All of them, rest in peace, that passed away. But they took me up under their wing, man, because they saw something in me that they really knew that I had it. And I didn't know I had it. And maybe about 34 years ago, Paul Mooney told me, he said, listen, you're funny. He said, you're not going to have to find them. They're going to find you. He said, so get ready. And, man, I tell you what he told me was the exact truth, man. I didn't have to find them. They found me.
Wow. Speaking of Paul Mooney, it's probably been like a month or so, or a few months since he passed away.
Right.
What was your thoughts when that happened?
Hey, man, it's funny you asked, because when he told me this about my career 30-something years ago, maybe about 3 years ago, I was in Pleasanton, California, and I was on the radio talking about what Paul Mooney had said to me. And not realizing he was in Pleasanton listening to the radio. And I was at a comedy club called Tommy T's. And I look up Sunday night, Paul Mooney is sitting in the audience.
Wow.
And I go like, is Paul Mooney out there? And I said, you remember telling me that? He said, I sure do. He said, what did I tell you? And then I said, you told me the truth. He said, I never lied to a brother. And he came on stage, man. I called him on stage, and he did he's supposed to do 5 minutes, but he did like 30 minutes because Paul enjoyed the crowd. He's brilliant. He was witty, and Paul didn't hold any punches. He was just straight funny, man.
Absolutely. Now, another comic great that we lost that people may not know a lot of is the man Tyler Craig.
Tyler Craig, man. Tyler came up under me out of Atlanta, Georgia, man. I remember when he came on the scene, and he's extremely funny. His character when he played the drunk on stage, and that was part of his act, and he was very good at it, and he was extremely funny, and he was a good friend of mine, and rest in peace to my man Tyler Craig.
Yeah, he shared a story on another broadcast about something that you shared with him as far as comics not wanting to share the spotlight. Now, that's the other side of comedy that we really don't know about. We see you guys, we love all of your characters, the men and women on the stage, but there's some other things behind the scene. Talk about that and what he said about that as far as the advice that you gave him as far as not outdoing the main headline, because a lot of people don't want to share that, Sean.
No, they don't want to share it, man. A lot of comedians in my position, they always want other comedians to open up for them that are not that funny because it makes them look better. But I'm totally the opposite. I want the feature and the headliner to be extremely funny, because if they're extremely funny, I know how my show is going to go. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell comedians it's best to be a strong feature than a weak headliner. So they need, you need to get your featuring act strong as you can be, and get you about 45 minutes, man, and get it ready so you can be ready, set, go. But it's a lot of things behind the scenes. A lot of comedians who are in higher position, they will use other comedians' material who are not in the spotlight yet, and which is not cool, but it happens. You know what I'm saying? I don't do it, but a lot of comedians do. But my key thing is, man, do you and be you, and it's all you.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've done a joke and you've seen somebody else did the joke? You're like, that's my fucking joke. Have you ever been in that situation?
Of course I have. I mean, I done had a brother to do a joke, my joke, and looked at.
Damn.
We can't hear you, brother.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I mean, he did the joke, not exactly like, I'm talking the exact way. And then looked at me and said, man, you know how we do it? I said, not like that.
We've had a lot of great comics on here, and a lot of them said that a lot of people stole their jokes, but they don't ever say who. They'll never put that name out there.
No, because we don't want any confrontation, man. I know comedians will call you out, though. They'll call you out. But me, I'm like this. Okay, you stole that joke. It must be good. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write another one.
Is it the same motherfucker that's stealing everybody's joke? Or is there like
it's always the same, man. Let me tell you what's so bad about it, bro. I want both of y'all to listen to this. They do it better than you. You be like, damn, that was funny, because when the dude did my joke, I started laughing. And the girl looked at me like, isn't that your joke? I be like, no, it's his now. It was my joke.
Man, oh man.
To talk about Cat Williams, you briefly mentioned him on the interview before. What's your relationship like?
Oh man, Cat is cool, man. Cat is people got to realize something about Cat Williams. First of all, he's brilliant. He's extremely funny. I enjoy him a lot. Cat, his creativity is off the chart. And see, people got to realize something about Cat, man. They don't know the Cat was an ex-Marine.
What?
You understand what I'm saying? People don't know that about him. You know, so he ain't really scared of nothing. I mean, I was in the Army, you know, salvation. But look, I just rang the bell in front of Walmart, but but Cat was a Marine. But I think as a comedian, man, he's top 10. He's top of my line, man. I respect him. I enjoy him. I like the way he treats his people. I like the way he treats his team. And that means a lot to me when you're in this business, because it is a business. Even though we're out having fun, but it is a business.
Absolutely. Appreciate Cat Williams.
Yeah. He coming back out, man.
Yeah.
Got a tour, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Hopefully we have him on. We had everybody else on his we had Lunel, we had Red Grant, we had Melanie Camacho. We never had him. Hopefully we get him too. But talk about Comic View. We seen Comic View on BT, grew up loving it, but we seen that it was edited, it was censored. We didn't get to see its full thing. So what's some of the craziest moments that you had on the show Comic View that we don't know?
I really never had a crazy moment, man. When I was hosting Comic View, it was the best time of my life. When I hosted in New Orleans, the Party Gras. I know you all remember that. Mm-hmm. And I did more work in my life I ever did that. I was down there for 30 days. I was doing 5 shows a day, 5 days a week. So I was doing 5 shows a day, 5 days a week. I was off Monday and Tuesday. Then they want me to go out and do some commercials on Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, no, that's not an off day, player. Right. Let me have this day off, and you know. But I had the best time. The shows really helped my career a lot, and I wanted to continue to be the host. I didn't want them to switch hosts because my year was like the best year they had for as numbers is concerned. And I ended up coming back the next year for Caliente. Ernest J was hosting, and I came back and helped him out that year, and it did very well. So if they would bring Comic View back again, I will host it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about if you may, Bill Cosby. We seen he was locked up for a while, like 5+ years or so, and he got released not too long ago, and he caught a lot of backlash. And now he's actually.
I don't know much about Bill Cosby, but I do know this. When he was getting sentenced in court, he could barely see. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that? 4 people had to help him walk down the aisles. But when he got out of jail, Bill saw everything, looking back, making faces at people. You know? So big ups to Bill Cosby, because I believe if they say he did that, I don't care. I can care less if he did it. But he opened the doors for a lot of comedians, and he even opened the door up for me. But Bill Cosby is another one that's top of my top 10 as a comedian. And hey, man, this is what I'm saying. If Donald Trump was a real cool president, when he was releasing all these rappers, he would have released Bill Cosby.
Right. Now, would you say that Bill Cosby's legacy and what he, meant to different people, being a role model, birthing so many comedians, opened up the door for so many people, outweighs the allegations against him?
No. I think this is what I think about Bill. Yeah, I want you all to pay attention to this. Mm-hmm. Even though he went to jail, falsely accused, it's been proven, but he's getting ready to go on tour, brother. Watch what I tell you, and he's going to sell out. People still love Bill.
I was going to ask you of that very next question. Would you be interested in seeing Bill Cosby go on tour? Because we've heard it, and we heard Lunel, and shout out to Lunel. We love Lunel, but she said, Bill, keep your ass at home before they do you like OJ. Then we had Godfrey. Nah, bro. I want to see that. I want to see it. So what do you think? Do you want to see it?
I think, Bill Cosby has a totally different audience. He has a very mainstream audience, a very older crowd. And I think he should go back out. If that's something he want to do, and then keep his blood flowing and make him happy, I say big ups to Bill. And Bill, if you need me to open up for you, I'll open up for you, but it ain't gonna be clean.
We'll let that. Woo.
We asked Godfrey that too. Do you think that Bill Cosby going to come back swinging, cursing? Is it going to be the jail bill? Is it going to still be clean, Mr. Cosby?
No, he gonna come back clean. That's his style. But if he had me to open up for him, it won't be clean.
Give us your top 5 comic view comedians, if you will. Top 5 that you ever worked with in comic view history.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Tony Roberts is one of the funniest comedians. Mike Epps, Cedric the Entertainer, Cat Williams, and Mr. Kevin Hart.
That's your top 5 of all time. That's not top 5 comic view, right?
Yeah, that's comic view all times.
Okay.
Ooh. Do you think that the Kings of Comedy should have evolved in, like, you know, every few years, you know, maybe like had a new list of King of Comedies? How do you feel about that? And the
I think it should have been another set of Kings of Comedy. I think it should. I think they should have did that, and I would love to be one of the Kings of Comedy, because I really enjoyed the Kings of Comedy when they was out. And big up to Steve Harvey and Cedric Entertainer DL, my main man, and rest in peace to my main man Bernie Mac. You know, Tell you a quick story about Bernie Mac. Yep. I met Bernie 1990, 89, 90. He was on fire, and I opened up for him one time in Macon, Georgia. And the dude who else was supposed to open up for him did show up. So the promoter called me and said, "Man, I need you down here." It's like an hour from Atlanta, and I got down there and I opened up. And Bernie Mac asked me, he said, who is this brother, Bruce? And he said, because he's funny. And I met Bernie Mac. He came down. He destroyed it. I mean, he destroyed it, man. I did a great job for him, and I worked with him one more time. I only worked with him 2 times in my whole life. And Bernie Mac was the truth, man. He was the truth. He was the truth on the Kings of Comedy. He was the truth in real life, and he was just a true husband and a true father. I knew that about him. So much respect to Bernie Mac.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Bernie Mac. The GOAT conversation, you brought up a lot when it calls about the GOAT of comic view and the GOAT. We hear that a lot. That word gets thrown around very loosely in 2021. Do you consider yourself the GOAT of comic view? And in your opinion, does that word GOAT get thrown around too loosely?
Oh, no, man. Don't get too loosely. I feel I am, man. Comic view did well for me. I did well for comic view.
Yeah.
And like I said again, I'm going to say this again. If it come back and they need a good host, I do.
Do you think the top, I will say the top comedians are the funniest comedians, are the most popular comedians, are the funniest comedians nowadays? I don't think that is
no, they're not the funniest comedians. No.
Okay.
You're saying the top comedians that are on top right now, are they the funniest
popular?
comedians?
Yeah, like the most popular. Right. Okay.
No, they're not. It's comedians out here will shut them down. You know what I mean? I think Tommy Davidson is one of the funniest dudes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Tommy Davidson he's quick, he's witty, he's brilliant. His timing is impeccable, and he's just funny, man. He was even funny on The Living Color, but his stand-up is 10 times better. So no, if you think the comedians that are on top right now, the funniest one anywhere, they're not. It's some comedians down below will set ablaze to their jacket, brother.
We had Tommy Davidson on here. He called himself the Mike Jordan of comedy, and he wasn't afraid to say it.
Oh yeah, I agree with it.
Wasn't afraid to say it. Talk about today's new era of comedy. Is it the same as when it was when you got into the game? So it seems like as time has evolved and as social media has evolved, so has the new comic. And I find myself tending to go toward the old school comedians and I do some of the newer. That's no disrespect to them because some of them are funny in their own right. But talk about that, the new generation of comics. Are they the same? Do they pay the same homage? How are they around?
No. They're not the same. See, back in the day when I was doing comedy, you know, and I'm still doing comedy, but, you know, back in the day, comedians said things that you had to hear. You know, it wasn't that you could see. Back in the day when your parents and grandparents were listening to Richard Pryor, Red Fox, and Bill Cosby, it was albums out. It wasn't any videos. It's stuff that you sit and listen to and laugh. And now the new comedians doing stuff that you have to see because they act out a lot of things, which is good. But I think if I had social media 35 years ago, I have 1,250 billion followers. You know what I mean? Because social media, I mean, it's great, and the new generation works it like it ain't nothing, and they do a great job. And I can't bash them. So you know what I'm gonna do? I join them.
Yeah.
There you go. What do you feel about, or how do you feel about, I should say, cancel culture and everybody being now so oversensitive, especially like if a comedian makes a joke and offends the wrong person? How do you feel how that has evolved over time?
Well, you know, comedians, we're gonna make joke out of anything. And I think I know where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
And are you talking about like gays and stuff like that?
And any
yeah, and, you know, a lot of them will get mad, but I let them know you are who you are, and if you're proud of who you are, nothing should offend you about it. You understand what I'm saying? I have no problems out of gays, anything. I have a lot that come to my show, and they cool and they laugh. You know, I call them sweet pickles. You know what I'm saying? Hey, sweet pickles, hello. But you know, nothing against or nothing. I won't do anything to disrespect or bash or you know, insult their intelligence or nothing like that. No. But I think that they need to calm down and don't be so sensitive and just take the joke and keep it moving.
Couldn't agree more. Just to play devil's advocate for a second, though, do you think that there's do you think there's a limit to jokes? Do you think that there is a joke that could go too far? Or you think everything's no holds bar? I personally, in my opinion, think that I appreciate no holds bar because you can find comedy in anything, even the dark. But
yeah, you can find comedy in anything, but it depends on what the joke is. If it's a joke and you telling a story, it can never go too far. But if you're bashing someone in the audience,
gotcha,
and you making a joke out of them, yes, you can take that too far.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's next for Bruce and your brand, man? What do you got coming up that you want to tell?
Well, you know, I want everybody to look out for my new CD and DVD 2022. 2022. I'm writing a very good show for that, and I'm gonna come out with it, and I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna do a cartoon version as well, and of the stand-up show, and I'm gonna do a stand-up show, and I'm gonna do an album as well, and I got a few movies up under my belt this year. I'm getting ready to do. I'm playing a preacher, a funny preacher, and my thing is now, man, is doing more TV and more movies I can, because stand-up is my life, and I'll forever do that for the rest of my life. But more TV and more movies.
Seem like one of the hardest working men in show business. You went from working 5 shows every day for 5 days straight, 25 shows a week, and you ain't slowed down yet, brother. So
no, man, I love it, man.
That's what I was going to ask you. My final question would be, what keeps it just is so youthful and young and so just positive and keep you going?
Hey, man, you know, I enjoy what I do. That's what you got. You got to enjoy. When I used to strip, when I was a stripper, look, man, you know, my stage name was Hard Candy, okay? I was getting money, man. No, I'm joking. No, you just got to love what you do and just appreciate what you do, and just thank God that you have the strength to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because anything can happen now, but right now, man, I'm on the wave and I'm going to ride it to the end.
Appreciate you.
The comedian Bruce on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast, man. We definitely appreciate you taking this, 30 minutes with us today. Go ahead, please drop your social media handles, emails, anywhere you want people to contact you, please.
Okay, my social media, my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at my Bruce. That's at MY Bruce. And send me some stuff, man. Tell me if you like me, if you don't like me. If you don't like me, let me know so I can fix it. I want to make it right.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. I doubt you're going to hear too much of that, man. Bruce, the OG, the GOAT comic view on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. Appreciate
it, brother.
You
All right, brother. Take it easy. Peace.
Thank you, man.
Take care.